What is up, my people? We are back. Today we're going to talk about boxing, a couple of fights that are going to happen in the future. One of them, is going to happen this weekend, which is Devin versus Garcia. And but yeah, let's talk about it. Like this one here, this is Wilder versus Zile Zhang, and I'm drinking my tea here, having some stomach issues, so I made myself a little remedy. Um, but in this fight here, I think Wilder said it himself. In the interview, he wants to see where he's at, and this is going to be the fight that determines whether he continues or decides to move on with his life. Now, from what I heard, he had a little awakening or enlightenment or something with some ayahuasca. What happens with those type of drugs is that it kind of humbles you and brings you down to earth, like literally. But um, what happens to people after they have these type of experiences is they start to realize what's important in life, and they start to realize um yeah, what's really important. And I don't think it's good for most fighters. Most fighters can't handle that because most fighters are ego driven. Most fighters are very prideful, and they believe that they have their destiny in their hands, and they're gonna go all out and stuff like that. This type of mentality, um, is very ego driven. It's very macho. But that doesn't go well with you know the drugs that he took, wherever it was that he took them. um Somewhere in South America. I forgot where exactly. But what happens to people that do that, like I said, they get humbled, you know and when they come out of that experience, they're not necessarily the same type of people because their ego was pretty much crushed. So in the last fight that Wilder had, against Parker, um, he was very gun shy. You know, everything about him was the same except for the fact that um he wasn't let it go of that too. He was hesitant to throw it. Um, and I just feel like that hallucination, that drug did a number on him. And there is people that can be peaceful warriors, or can be you know these warriors that don't really need to be angry within a fight, or they don't really um care about the outcome so much. There is those type of fighters that perform well with that mentality, but it's very rare, and you don't just change that way, and adapt to it. It's very hard. So we're gonna see what happens. I feel like if Wilder was himself, I feel like he would beat Zhilei Zhang, because Zhilei Zhang has a tendency to wear out down the stretch. And his power, I don't believe his power continues with him. Uh, and it's not the case with Wilder. Wilder, he could be tired. I mean, the guy could be dead on the floor and lifts up his hand, and he'll still be able to KO you. So, but who knows? Maybe his power is psychological. Maybe his power is psychological, and now that he's not the same person mentally, maybe his power isn't there no more. So we're just gonna have to see what happens. Um, But I feel like this fight is almost, it's almost an attempt to keep the fight between him and Anthony Joshua alive. Maybe not for Wilder and his team, because I believe Wilder and his team are saying no to the fight again or something like that. From what I heard, but um, but definitely for everybody else, the Saudis I'm pretty sure will still want to see that fight. I think the British still want to see that fight on Anthony Joshua's side. I really don't know if the Americans want to see it. I feel like Americans are more about fantasy and more about believing that their fighter is undefeated or whatever. That's why the WWE is big over here, or was. Um, Now when it comes to Bibo versus Better Beef or Beterbiev, um, by the way, the promotion for all of these, has been great. I really like the 5v5 with where Zhilei Zhang and Wilder are gonna fight in, and I enjoyed this one. This one is also good. They're going all out, man. That's what I like about the Saudis. They know how to promote. They know what the people want. They kind of have a gauge on what their demographic of the people that watch these types of fights are into, and they're definitely aiming for their hearts, in my opinion. Um, Now in this fight, I personally believe it's hard to predict, but I think you know Beterbiev wins. I think Beterbiev wins, and the reason it's going to be a hard fight, but the reason I believe that is because Bebo, mm, he resets a lot, and the reason he resets a lot is because and I suffer from the same mentality too. Um, I want to stay safe in a sparring session or whatever it is, and plus you're not trying to hurt people in sparring sessions, anyways. Um, but even in video games, okay, let's talk about video games. Let's talk about sparring. I could be beating somebody up, but if I feel like the guy's going to try a wake up DP or something, I back off from a distance. I don't try to predict what they're gonna do and then counter that. I'd rather just let him out of the corner and then retaliate and try to figure out what he's gonna do from there. Which is a mistake. It's better, especially with someone like Rashid. I know I'm talking about something else, but that's basically what Bebo has, and that could be a problem with someone like Beterbiev because Beterbiev, um, he knows that he's powerful, and he's very confident in his power, and he's very confident in his ability to hurt you. So, and he's not going to try to throw a lot of punches, but he's going to try to throw every punch with power. And he's going to throw in between your punches, and that's going to be the key to Better Beef's success, is trying to figure out when Bebo is going to throw a flurry, and in between that flurry, Better Beef is going to throw maybe one or two shots in between his opponent's shots, which is Bebo's, and he's going to really mean those shots. I'm talking about he's really going to put his all into every jab, every combination. And that's what he's going to do. And the thing about it is that when Bebo decides that it's time for him to back up, it's not going to be as sweet as he thinks it's going to be, because that's when Better Beef is going to turn it up, or off, depending on where he hits him. But the in my opinion, the only thing that could go wrong is if Beterbiev gets old overnight, and Better Beef's, Bebo's youth shines, and in that case, I think if that does happen, um, I think the only outcome would be a technical knockdown. If like let's say Beterbiev gets old overnight, let's just say that. Let's say he gets in the ring and he's not the same Beterbiev that we know. And Bebo is better than ever because his testosterone is up. This is the fight of his life, and he's fighting for undisputed, and he gives it his all, right? If that happens, it'll be a technical knockdown, in my opinion, because that would mean that it's not the same Beterbiev. So Bebo would get the technical knockdown. I don't think he's gonna knock him out, but I think maybe some scarring may happen and the accumulation of shots. But I just don't see that. The accumulation of shots by Bebo will make the refs stop the fight, and then Bebo wins by technical knockdown. But those are my two options. I'm still gonna give the nod to Beterbiev, in my opinion. Um, I think he just has what it takes. We're talking about somewhat of a pure boxer in Bebo. I'm. It's kind of hard to gauge him. He could be a boxer puncher, but I don't think he is. Um, I'll answer that later. And I forgot what I was saying, but yeah, Bebo. I mean, Beterbiev. Okay, Beterbiev winning by TKO. I'm thinking. I'm thinking he wins by TKO in 8, but we'll see. They may sound a little bit too fast, but 8 or 9, maybe 10. But let's move on here. Oh, that's still Beterbiev, and so yeah, guys, Beterbiev. That's who I'm picking, Beterbiev, over Bebo. And last but not least, we're gonna talk about Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia, which is, I mean, one of the saddest attempts I've seen for them to sell a fight. But I'm interested. I'm interested because it just seems so wild what they're doing now. And now it's like, what's gonna happen next, This whole thing with the where's your mom and stuff like that, you know, to me it's obvious that Ryan and Devin are pretending. Okay, these guys have known each other. Just imagine this, okay? Imagine you know somebody your whole life. Okay, and you and him, you're kind of like, you grew up together. Not grew up together, but you guys competed against each other. In the Olympics or whatever. I really don't know that much about them, but they when it comes to the martial arts of boxing, they pretty much came up together. They were in the same competitions. They met each other in the same competitions all the time or whatever. And they're kind of cool, right? I remember the beginning when I first found out about their whole thing. They said that they were kind of friends. That's from what I remember. So just imagine that. Imagine you know somebody like that. You finally make it to the big stage, and it's time for you and him to face each other. Do you think you're gonna hate that guy? In my opinion, you're both gonna know that you made it, and you're both gonna be happy for each other. You're both gonna get paid. You know what I mean? And the only reason you would make it a problem is to sell tickets. All right, because let's be honest, Devin Haney has had a hard time selling tickets. Even though, in my opinion, he's a very good boxer. He's a very good pure boxer. Um, and we'll still have to see if he's great. In my opinion, he has the heart of a great champion, of a great pure boxer. Okay, now there's things that he has to do to be a legend. This is one of those things, you know, and to be a great he has to take these type of fights. Um, and that's what I like about Devin. Okay, that's what I like about Devin. It's about legacy. It's about, you know, taking the fights and calling everybody out. That's what I like about him. And when it comes to Ryan, you know, he reminds me a lot of the guy who I don't know if you guys remember when you used to play soccer or used to play basketball or whatever, and he knew he wasn't gonna win, you know, or he found out somewhere along the line once you start, you know, taking the ball to the paint and scoring, and he starts realizing that he's not gonna win. He starts to pretend like it's not important to him. He starts to pretend like, you know, acting goofy and messing around, distracting people out of the fact that he sucks. Okay. And that's what I feel with Ryan Garcia. Okay, I feel like it's down to the wire to the point to where this could be it, and he knows it, and now he's doing all of this other things. Some people can say that it's to sell the fight, and that could be it, but at the same time, it just comes off as, you know, that kid that knows that um I didn't even want to play anymore, you know, something like that. Like, it's this game isn't even important to me, type shit. Um, but I still got Devin winning, in my opinion, unless Ryan really learned something from his coach. Um, you know, and really is gonna stay, you know, tight with his defense and work the jab and take advantage of his speed. Because in my opinion, Ryan Garcia does have the speed advantage. He just doesn't have the know how on how to use it. You know, because I mean, from right here, he looks taller than him too. He looks taller than Devin too. So, in my opinion, if he adopts a style similar to um to Hitman Hearns, you know, he could win the fight. But the thing is, like, nobody was there to tell him, you know. And now it's down to the wire, and it's like you can't reinvent something, you know, right at the nick of time and be calling out all of these guys and stuff like that. It's just not gonna happen. Um, so yeah, I got Devin. I think Devin wins by decision or technical knockdown. And the reason I think it's either by decision or technical knockdown is because he's not even technical knockdown. He could knock him out. He could knock Ryan out. A lot of people say that Devin is feather fisted. He doesn't hit hard. That doesn't matter. If a guy is not in tip top shape and he's not taking his craft seriously, and he could be trolling me. I mean, Ryan Garcia could be trolling me. He could be trolling all of us, and he's this is the best shape of his life, and he's gonna show us all different. But from what I see, you know, I don't feel like he's doing very well. You know, his lips look dry on here. He looked like he looked like he was high. Um and you know, if all of that I'm seeing is true, Devin wins, and he could win by KO because you can't do that. You can't be on drugs, um, and you know, expect to not get KO'd. Anybody could get, even Mike Tyson could get knocked out if he's, you know, not taking somebody seriously. Um, so it is what it is, guys. I think Devin wins, and but who knows? It'll be crazy if Ryan wins, because if Ryan wins, in my opinion, that's like if the Joker wins. Because this guy's crazy, dude. One last thing I wanted to say about Ryan Garcia, and it is the fact that I do respect, you know, what he's done so far. Because well, for whatever reason he's doing it, you know, I mean, maybe doing it for clout, for fame, whatever, money. Um, but the fact of the matter is he is, you know, going after the big fights and going after fights that we've been wanting. I remember about 2 or 3 years ago, we were saying that there was like the four kings or something like that. Um, but and I think it was Devin, Shakur, Ryan, and Tank, right? Something like that. I think Shakur was out of the picture because he was just starting up. But then I think he's like 30 now, so that's crazy. Um, but I was just thinking about that, and I was like, out of the four or the three, whatever you want to call it, it ain't big three, it's big me. What did Kendrick say? It's just big me. Um, but but yeah, out of those guys, the ones that were supposed to be the new, three kings, comparing them to, comparing these guys to the guys of the past like Duran, Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, those guys back in those days, you know, and people, Americans are just desperate to bring back the golden age of boxing, to have more, um, fights like the way we used to, because this used to be the mecca of boxing, you know. But the reason it's because people are just afraid to lose. They're afraid to lose, and they feel like if they lose, um, they're not going to be as popular anymore. But I don't think that's the case. I think win, lose, or draw, I think Ryan is the one that's fighting everybody, and everybody else is just scared to fight each other. But I think either way, if Ryan wins or Devin wins, I think the future of the sport here in these two guys' hands is in good hands, because I think both of them are going to try to fight everybody. I don't think Devin is, even though Devin is a pure strategist, pure boxer in the ring, he is not that outside of the ring. Outside of the ring, he wants to fight everybody. That's what I've seen from Devin so far, and from Ryan as well. This is probably the only fight that I think he was kind of trying to stay away from. But it's here now, and that's part of the reason why it's kind of weird that he's acting the way he's acting. Um, Maybe it's to sell the fight, maybe it's because he's scared, whatever. I don't know. I don't read minds. But what I do know is, on paper, what I've seen from Ryan so far is, in my opinion, admirable, because he's, out of the four kings, the only one that's going out there and fighting the other so-called kings, which, in my opinion, ain't no four kings or three kings. They're acting like four bitches to me, personally, because they just don't want to fight each other, man. They just right now they had a whole argument. I was looking at Twitter X, and they had a whole argument about Shakur calling out Tank Davis for fighting a guy that ducked him. In a way, also calling him out. But that fight ain't gonna happen, bro. None of these kings are acting like kings, bro. They're acting like queens. You know what I mean? And that's just the truth, bro. And Ryan, win, lose, or draw, I think we should support both of these guys. After the fight's over, we should continue to root for them. We should continue to pay for their fights, because we don't care about that. Oh, that's an illusion. That zero, that undefeated streak, that's an illusion created by people that know how to control chaos, and that's good. But I just want you guys to understand what's going on, what you're looking at, and then make it a educated choice whether you want to support these people or not. I'm personally going to support these guys because they are bringing us the fights. They are fighting each other. They're the only ones of the kings that are fighting each other, that are going out to get the fights. So that's all I want. Those other guys, you know, they're staying in their own little bubbles, protected from the world, um, which is, you know, that's the way it is now. But anyways, that is gonna be it for today. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys later.